So I'm here with Lucia Flores-Wiseman, Team Adam, and I want to ask you some the voice questions you've been getting asked a lot of the voice questions. I'm gonna change it up and get to the voice, but a woman in Madrid studying abroad in Spain. I love the storytelling aspect of you being a singer-songwriter. I selfishly want you to do more. I know that's a production that you had to do. Can you tell our listeners and watchers about a woman in Madrid and your journey as far as studying abroad?
Yeah, wow. That really great journalism skills right there. Yeah, Woman in Madrid is a song that I wrote about when I was in Madrid. I was finishing up my study abroad program. I studied at the University of Washington in journalism and a minor in Spanish. So I went on a Spain program in the south of Spain, Cadiz, and when I was done, it was around 4 months. My parents came and picked me up, and we were in Madrid spending time together. We went to Morocco and we went to Granada and different places. And my I have ADHD, I have anxiety, and so I didn't have my medications to you know have the last few days. And so, it's a huge big change. You have your life, you're going back to the US. What does that mean? What does my life mean? What have I learned? Those thoughts start to pile on because, when you have anxiety, that's just what happens. So I was in a museum in Madrid and I saw this beautiful painting of this woman sitting in a hotel room on her bed. And she looks so somber and so lonely. And the description spoke a little bit about that loneliness. And it just started to make me cry. And I think that's the beauty of art in general, is that it makes you really connect to it. And my dad saw me and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And, as a great Mexican father, he may not speak a lot to it, but he shows his love in actions so much. So, we left the museum. We're walking in the streets. We got Starbucks just because, got to get something in your system. And he has the same kind of brain, so he wasn't like, you have to explain everything to me. He already knew and understood, just like the emotions that you have when traveling and your whole life changes. I mean, he's an immigrant. He knows what it's like to pick up your life, go to another country, speak in another language, learn so many things. So, um, yeah, the emotions were so complex, and we were able to go into a pharmacy, and let me just preface, I have a prescription for all the drugs I take, which is for my mental health. But when you're in Spain, it's a different country. There's different laws and whatnot. But my dad was doing really good at convincing this pharmacist, hey, please, she needs her medications, just literally 2 days worth or something like that, so that she can mentally be better and whatnot. And so somehow he was able to convince this pharmacist to get my drugs. But again, it's prescribed in the US. And so I was so glad that I had that. But that that piece and that day and that art really drove me to thinking about how I feel. And I think a lot of women in general that have ADHD, we're such perfectionists and so critical of ourselves. And oftentimes you start to feel like I'm the only one that understands me, and no one will ever understand who I am, even though that may not be fully true. But when you're in a different country and it's not your first language and that they're all strangers, you really can seep into even more loneliness and be like, wow, this world doesn't know who I am. And so that's kind of where the song came from. And I think it can connect with a lot of people in the sense that we all want to be loved and understood and to be seen as complex human beings, that my brain is so special and different. Um, and really wanting to connect with people on a deeper level, which is exactly the reason why I sing, is for everyone to feel those emotions on a deeper level.
Yeah, and on feeling those emotions, your Day of the Blinds, you made yourself a video to reaffirm and bolster yourself, understandably so, and then you choose La Llorona. Can you just, and then you get your parents supporting you. Your dad's really emotional because obviously it's a song that speaks to the soul. And then you have the four-chair turn, people literally just, I want to say literally fighting over you. How are you able to process all of those facets of the day? Were you able to really enjoy that day? And what were you going through? And how, if I was in your body, I would be breaking down. So emotionally. So how were you able to go through that? And that's, it's an awesome thing to go through, of course.
No, it was an experience of a lifetime, but I was very intentional about how I wanted my day to go. And I really did not want to take in other people's energies. I think we're so used to feeling other people's anxieties and stress, and we take it in on as our own. So, what I did preparing for the audition is I'm a big believer in like manifestation and writing down affirmations. And even if you don't believe in that, there is a science behind, your brain doesn't know the difference between present, past, and future. It really doesn't know. What it does know is the emotions it feels right in that current moment. So beforehand, if I'm thinking of me being so nervous on that stage, of it being a terrifying experience, I'm already feeling terrified and anxious. And I didn't want that to happen when I was there. So another cool thing I think about the brain is it doesn't know the difference between nerves and excitement. They are the same thing, feeling nervous and feeling excited. You're nervous, you're getting sweaty, you're like da 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 da, all this stuff. You're excited, you're getting sweaty, you're la 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 la. It's the same thing. And so I just reframed my mind. It's been like lots of years of therapy or learning about my brain and how it works. And so I really was intentional of writing down how everything was going to go. So I wrote down in past tense as if it already happened, the audition. So I wrote little details throughout the whole day and said, I was in the van and I saw these people and I was so excited to talk with them. We're all so grateful to have this opportunity. I was doing my vocal warm-ups and my voice felt so good and da da da. Da. I felt so full with my food and I wasn't nervous at all. I was so excited. I was grounded. I wasn't taking in anyone's anxiety. I even said, I walk on the stage and I felt so grounded and I felt so calm and powerful. And I wrote down, I got a four-chair turn. And I wouldn't say that to other people, and some people might take it the wrong way and be like, oh, you're cocky. But I'm just trying to think best case scenario. And when they turn, I know I deserve it. I know that I am special no matter what. And my parents were so excited for me and da 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 da. And so I wrote out what happened the whole day. And when I look back and I read it, it it happened, which is kind of crazy. In a way, it's either manifestation or just being really lucky. Um, but I wasn't nervous. I was excited. Yeah, it was
Lucia,
so great.
I'm assuming a lot of that also is a great work ethic and hard work. There's guitars behind you. I've listened to your music. At heart, you're a singer-songwriter as well. So part of it is hard work. You have a gig coming up on March 7th. You have all these things going. With all that hard work, how are you able to process? I don't know if you even look at the comments on YouTube or the socials where you have people saying, "Yeah, she should win the voice. Yeah, that's the voice winner. That's she's amazing. She's like right at top of my." Are you able to process that, or you said grounded? Are you able to keep those really great things at bay because you want to stay centered with all the things that got you here at this moment?
I mean, I have to be honest, it's not like I'm always grounded. I wish I was. It's been a really interesting time hearing all those comments and like you said, like I have my guitars and I've been trying to work on my content and having things out and ready, and I have some original songs coming out soon. But I have a really supportive and amazing circle of friends and family that really help ground me. I would say I would be lying if I didn't read the comments. And it's so great to hear all the amazing things and to know that people are saying they get chills or they were crying. And these are strangers, people I don't know. Um, but there are times when, like, there's comments about she sounds like a cat that's choking or a cow that's dying or there's some Latinos that love me and support me and some say my Spanish is horrible. I ruined the song. And so, you know, at first it hurt me, but my dad, I was like, am I really that bad in my Spanish? Am I really? And he's like, no, Lucia. He's like, and to be honest, if you're not creating controversy, you're not creating art. Think about all the amazing artists out there that people hate their stuff or they love it. And I think that's the whole point, is to feel those emotions. And so now that I'm like looking at these comments, I feel so honored for so many people to be like, wow, you're the winner. And I also think I just kind of laugh now when people say I'm the worst person ever. Like, look at those like crazy different comments. It's so subjective. And so I'm really trying to focus on, why do I care what other people say about me, even if it's good and it's bad? What do I feel about myself? And that is a journey that I'm always working on. And I need to feel that I am amazing and talented. Because even if someone else believes that, if I don't believe it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone says. So I'm really focused on how do I feel. And right now, I'm feeling really blessed and really honored, and some people might not like it, but I know I'm talented and I know I'm original and I'm Lucia. I'm Lucia Flores-Wiseman, and there's no other person like me, just like everyone else. There's no one else like anyone else. Yeah.
I selfishly, as a fan of your voice and your music, my number one genre is jazz. Jazz is part of your profile. It's towards part of your profile. I selfishly want you to go to jazz immediately, but when can we expect a lot of jazz stuff in your work down the road? And is it a passion of yours, that form as well?
No, I love jazz. I grew up listening to it, and in high school, I was doing jazz choir. I also played with a fun like jazz band in high school and would do some gigs with a group of guys. And the music that I create, you know, I don't have all the stuff on Spotify or Apple Music that represents the music that I make, and that's what I'm really working towards. Jazz is so special to me, but I also don't want to stay in just one box. And that's why I like to pull jazz and soul or blues, a little bit of rock, some indie, some folk. Like, I know that if I told someone this is just a jazz album, there will be jazz people that say this is not a jazz album. And so for me, it it's combining it all together. And so yeah, I have some songs that are coming out that have jazz influences. I may not say like they're straight up jazz, but there's definitely those influences, especially in the chord structure and the way that I use my voice. I mean, I love Ella Fitzgerald. I love Peggy
Okay.
Lee.
Yes.
I I love so many jazz musicians and singers. So anytime that I can try to emulate that into my own style, I totally will.
I just can't wait one day when I hear some of I know a lot of the stuff you do is original tracks, but when you take a stab down the road, you do so many things with the Great American Songbook. I mean, you'd be so great at doing that. But Look, final couple questions. Thank you for your time. But when people ask you what are some of the tangible lessons you've learned on the voice journey, can it almost be like learning a lot because you've already, by the time you were on the voice, maybe a year ago when you started, you were already pretty accomplished and with what you were doing. What were the things that you learned along the way?
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot of things. I think every experience that I have in life, I'm learning something. One of the biggest things for me was that artists can support each other and not just tear each other down. Every contestant that is on The Voice, I have had conversations with them, and they are seriously the most uplifting, supportive people. And I do not feel in my bones that anyone is being rude or jealous. Maybe we're like, wow, that person's really good. But we all came to terms that we are all so unique and so original and talented. Sometimes it's hard to even compare because it's so subjective. So I learned we can be peers in this community. Sometimes people think of the music industry as like tearing each other down. I didn't experience that, with the voice contestants. I would say another thing, like, this is really not, to me, a competition against other artists. It's a competition against myself. And I'm pretty spiritual and I think of myself as a soul and not just like I'm a soul. This flesh suit is Lucia, right? And I'm so grateful to be in this flesh suit. But at the end of the day, I am not my voice. I am not my looks or anything like that. I am a soul that's meant to be learning things like how to learn, how to teach, how to grow, how to respect, how to love. And if I feel like I can accomplish that while I'm on this journey, that is going to be the most important thing to me. So while I'm singing, what a great way for the universe to test me if I believe in myself or not. What a crazy way. Like you're on a voice competition where people are pinning each other against each other, comments and all this stuff. This is really a test for me of, do I believe in myself? Will I keep on going when things are hard? And and how do I stay myself throughout all of this? So I know it's kind of but
No, it's not.
it's impacted me a lot and it's been so like amazing to learn. Yeah.
And very quick question. You mentioned songs that maybe haven't even been released on maybe Apple Music or Spotify. I go through Spotify to listen to your music, but is your alone time when you're creating music very cherished? Meaning, do you need your solitude to create your songs? And some people don't like being alone with that blank piece of paper and the pen. But how do you feel about those moments when you are alone and creating something that comes from the pain and joys of your life? Is it cherished time? Is it fearful time? What time is that like for you? And thanks for your time, by the way.
Yeah, no, thank you. I would say it definitely is cherished time. To be able to create a song for me, it requires me to be in such a particular mindset. And that means honestly being alone. Like I have my wonderful boyfriend, Steven, but if he's in the house, I'm already thinking of like, oh, I should be spending time with him and da, 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 even though he's fine. Like we've been together for over 6 years, he's fine. Um, but when I'm alone, I feel like I'm alone from all the world and like time pauses. But I know that sometimes it can be scary. So recently, with all the stuff going on, sometimes I am scared to pick up the guitar and a piece of paper because that means I have to face the emotions that I'm dealing with. But I keep on trying to encourage myself that that's the only way to get through life is to face those emotions head on. Because if we keep on holding that in, whew, there's a volcano, right, that erupts. And so, I do love writing alone with myself. There is that imposter syndrome that, I always try to battle these thoughts of, oh, I can never make a good song ever again. Like, I already made my good songs. There's no way I can make another good one. And then I have some clicking moment, and then I'm like, this is my favorite song. I love it so much. So I try to remember of those times. I try to remember just to create, and who knows, maybe I'll make the best thing. Um, but I've also been like trying to collaborate with more people and seeing how sometimes when there's another creative brain with me, we start to like fuel off of each other and create like magic. And that's been kind of hard because, my boyfriend works a 9 to 5 and I'm home alone. And I I sometimes don't know what to do with myself. And I don't have anyone telling me, Lucia, go write songs. That has to be up to me. And so, kind of having another person to bounce off of ideas has really been helping. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is so healing. And every time I do it, I feel better. I always feel better.
Sia, thank you so much for your time. Good luck on The Voice, and it was a total pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Rips, thank you. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.